Gadani residents lament as bridge linking community collapses. Toby Amusan breaks 25-year African indoor record in 60 meters hurdle. On the international scene, hundreds march against gender violence in Kenya. Hello there and welcome to the news hour on Trust TV. I'm Sakir Ibrahim. We begin the news with stories around an unspecified number of people who were on Saturday morning reportedly killed in two villages of Mangu local government area of Plateau State following a clash between soldiers and gunmen in the area. Well, the latest incident is coming hours after Governor Caleb Mutfwang reviewed the 24-hour curfew earlier imposed in the area from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Reports say about 30 of the gunmen were said to have been killed, while some soldiers were also injured during the attacks on Satguru and Tiop villages. A security operative who craved anonymity said the incident occurred between 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. when the gunmen came in their numbers and started attacking some communities along Gindiri Road. Meanwhile, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, on Saturday gave troops deployed to Mangu General Area a marching order to end the attacks and killings in the area. The Army Chief gave the order at Mangu Mini Stadium while addressing the newly deployed troops in the area. The deployment of the troops followed the recent ethno-religious violence that erupted in the communities of Mangu, where people were killed and properties, including religious centers, were destroyed. And now joining us from Jos, the Plateau State capital, to give updates on the situation in Mangu is Trust TV reporter Adu Musa. Adu, welcome to the News Hour. It was just barely 24 hours ago that we were talking about the attacks in Mangu on Tuesday and by extension Wednesday. But then again, here we are talking about another attack which happened early on Saturday morning. First of all, what was it like when the Chief of Army Staff visited Mangu earlier today?
Well, the Chief of Army Staff, while addressing the troops of the Nigerian Army who have been deployed to the area, first of all, recall that this is the third time he's coming to Plateau in an effort to ensure peace in the state. He recalled that sometimes, December last year, he was in the state in an effort to ensure peace in the state. And as such, the troops that have been deployed this morning are expected to at least do all it could to ensure that peace is restored in Mangu local government area. You also charge them that they should know that, yes, they are in a serious mission, and therefore it requires of all of them to ensure that anybody who is found either destroying economic activities or found involving in killing of other people, that person should also be killed. We also assure them that the Nigerian Army will provide all the necessary support in order to achieve the desired goals. So this is what he told the troops at the Stadium Mangu today.
Right, I don't know if the spokesperson of the Nigerian Army in the state, Captain Oya James, has responded, because I know from the News Hour on Friday, you said you're yet to get any response from him with regards to the attacks on Tuesday and Wednesday. However, it's seeming like the intervals of these attacks has reduced. Adu, can you paint us a picture? What are your sources saying? What do you know about the attack earlier today and how it was foiled? Were there any casualties from the civilian side or members of the community? Were they attacked? Were they affected? Was it just soldiers alone, or just the non-state actors who got the brunt of the attack? Can you tell us?
Well, according to the residents of these communities, they confirmed that no life of any civilian from these communities was lost. But about 30 lives were lost, that is of the government. And they also confirmed to me that some soldiers were also injured during the battle. So what they were saying is at about 7 a.m. this morning, when the government attempted to attack this community, and the soldiers were alerted and immediately they responded. So they say according to them, that when soldiers invaded, or rather, when soldiers arrived the area, they were able to quell the attack and also kill many of the government.
Okay, Ado, a couple of weeks ago, the Vice President visited Mangu area. The governor of the state, Governor Caleb Mutfwang, has visited Mangu. The Inspector General of Police has visited Mangu. And then quite recently, earlier today, the Chief of Army Staff also visited Mangu. However, do you think all of these has put down the tensions in the mind of the members of the community that safety is here finally, especially with the deployment of this new set of troops and the marching orders given by the Chief of Army Staff earlier today? Are they at rest? I mean, members of the community.
Well, the members of the community, they are happy with the development of these troops because it's giving them a kind of confidence that they will have a rest of mind, at least for now. Even though they have been also complaining that, just like what the Chief of Army Staff said, that this is the first time he's coming to Plateau, because some 6 months back, he was in Mangu to launch Operation Hakon Damisa 4, and he made same assurance. And on December 31st, he was also in Plateau State and also made the same assurance. But the fact that he came now and also assured the residents of the areas that peace will definitely restore, they are still confident that, yes, the peace will also restore. So they are still confident, the fact that, yes, there are a lot of assurances that were made in the past, and there are also still challenges in some of these affected communities. They are still confident that peace will definitely restore one day.
Okay, so far, what's the update on the curfew? I know it was for 24 hours, but recently the governor had lifted and changed the time from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. daily. Has there been any update or change as regards to the curfew?
No, there hasn't been any adjustment with regard to the curfew. It's still from 8 a.m. To 4 p.m. Because the resident of Mangu also told me this evening that there hasn't been any adjustment. We have not also had anything officially from the government with regard to the adjustment. So I believe that the curfew is still from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
All right, Adu, thank you very much. We appreciate you keeping your eyes on the street and ears to the ground as events develop. Do stay safe. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. And earlier, the Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang had reviewed the 24-hour curfew imposed on Mangu local government area of the state. According to the governor, the curfew is now to be observed from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily until further notice. Well, this is coming hours after Governor Mutfwang visited some of the affected communities in the area. Ado Musa completes the story.
Governor Mutfwang visited the affected communities and later paid a courtesy call on the traditional ruler of Mangu, John Hirse, where he assured him of government intervention.
We're working with the local government chairman and the Mishkamarabu to make sure that we get to the root of this matter and put an end to it, because we cannot continue with this cycle of violence. And I want to assure the people of Mangu local government that the government of Plateau State will do all it can to ensure that external aggressors are kept away.
The traditional ruler appreciated the state governor for his timely intervention and called for dialogue as an effective tool towards ending the attacks.
Just because of disagreement between two people, and it has now engulfed the whole local government. I want to appeal to all of us that if there's any disagreement, it's better to sit down and dialogue. No matter the disagreement, it's only dialogue that can resolve it. Sit down and discuss our things. I believe after this, there will be a new direction.
While in Boko's local government area, where people were killed on Christmas Eve, the governor blamed drug abuse as responsible for the recent violence, warning drug peddlers to stay away from the state.
We want to therefore appeal to community leaders to rise to the occasion course, one of the things that accelerated this carnage was the involvement of drug-induced youths.
Some of the survivors narrated their ordeal.
Before we realized, they begin to shoot. They begin to shoot. So, before we understand, they begin to burn our houses.
What started on 24th? It's just a fight between Muslim and Christian.
The state has been experiencing ethno-religious violence, which has claimed hundreds of lives in several parts of the state. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
And to some sharing news, barely 10 minutes into the game between Nigeria and Cameroon in the AFCON match, Nigeria scored its first goal by Shemi Ajayi. The match is being played currently at the Felix Boigny Stadium in Côte d'Ivoire. And to other stories now, troops of 6th Brigade Jalingo on Friday night engaged bandits in a fierce battle in Wukari local government area of Taraba State and recovered some weapons. The brigade public relations officer, Olabodunde Oni, disclosed this in a statement on Saturday in Jalingo. Oni, in the statement, stated that the attack occurred following the sound of gunshots near disputed land. He said the troops exploited the area and recovered a cache of weapons, which included 2 AK-47 rifles with 36 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition, 10 empty cases of 7.62mm ammunition, 1 double-barrel rifle and 1 single-barrel rifle with 14 live cartridges. He also said the encounter served as a testament to the unwavering commitment of the military in maintaining peace and security in the state. And residents of Osogbo, the Osun State capital, were outraged after a mother simply identified as Risikat battered her 9-year-old daughter, Farida, on Thursday. The woman was apprehended by men of Nigeria's Security and Civil Defense Corps after being reported to law enforcement officers by her neighbors. Trust TV's Hamid Oyegbade files in the report.
Timely intervention of the men of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps saved the 9-year-old girl, Farida, from untimely death on Thursday. Her enraged mother, Riskat, was reported to have beaten her mercilessly with a turning stick and inflicted injuries on her.
My mother beat me to this extent because I opened the door to our room, despite begging her. She refused to stop. Instead, she threatened to kill me.
When the woman beat the lady mercilessly, I watched and see that this is too bad. Then people were the civil defense people are already here. So they were trying to arrest the lady, but she refused to arrest. But later, she was conquered. They sent for reinforcements.
While in the custody of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, the mother refused to answer questions on what prompted her action. Officials of a non-profit organization in the state, Value Female Network, the officials of State Ministry of Children and Women Affairs, and a child rights advocate, Aduke Obelawo, provided necessary supports to the victim and a 3-year-old sister, Awa.
And the situation that has happened is a pointer to what is happening in the society. Our society is no longer safe for our children, for even mothers and fathers as well. You know, we have been trying to trace this issue, and the underlying factor in this matter is that the hardship that is in the country is turning people to something else. The hardship they experience, you know, inability to meet up with demands of our time, demands the necessity of life.
The special advisor to Governor Ademola Adeleke on Health, Adekunle Akindele, directed the Osun State University Teaching Hospital to offer free Medicare to the girl. Trust TV gathered that the woman, who is an indigene of Kwara State, relocated to Osogbo from Ibadan in Oyo State about 3 months ago. Amid Oyegbade reporting for Trust TV.
And the goal scored by the team Nigeria in the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations against Cameroon has unfortunately been disavowed by the VAR. Shemi Ajayi had initially scored the first goal in 10 minutes. Moving on to other stories now, youths in Zaria have embarked on teaching Quranic education and memorization to learners with hearing challenges using finger spellings and sign language. Although the process could be so challenging, especially to those with hearing disability, as they may not be able to replicate the sounds, it is, however, going on as both parties are committed to seeing it through. Abubakar Sadiq completes the report.
Some youth in Zaria have taken the bull by the horns to adequately impact religious knowledge and inculcate reading habit of the Holy Quran by the deaf through the use of finger spelling and sign language. Trust TV learned that there are currently only 2 schools in Zaria who embark on the strange exercise: the Dandada Islamic School in Kwarbay for the adult and Al-Furqan Islamic School in Limanchin for the children. At the Al-Furqan Islamic School, the hearing-impaired students were noticed reading the transcribed version of the Holy Quran using finger spelling and sign language. Malam Yasir Suleiman Kopa is the leader of the deaf teachers who interpreted what the head of the school, Malam Anjuma Muhammad, said. He informed that one Ustaz Muhammad bin Hajjan al-Sahabi, founder of Al-Shifa'in Association of the Disabled, Riyadh Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, developed the transcribed Quran at the global level, which the school is currently using to teach the student with the sign language. He said only a few chapters of the Quran were made available to them, which they photocopied and shared among the students for easy learning.
The school is teaching children with disabilities to know about Allah, their religion, and also about reading Quran, the Holy Quran in Arabic sign language.
The school head disclosed that presently there are only 2 schools in Zaria teaching the deaf how to read and memorize the Holy Quran, including the Islamic school at Dandada and that of Limanchin for younger children. Yasir Kopa explained that currently all Al-Furqan school has over 200 students on its roll, comprising of both male and female hearing impaired students. He added that there are 7 teachers initially in the school, but currently only 3 remain due to non-payment of salaries and allowances.
Students, we have more than 200 students. Some of them are not around, some have traveled, and some of them are in vocation.
The head of the school enumerated the problems bedeviling the school to include lack of permanent sight, non-availability of transcribed Quran, visual teaching aid, and non-payment of remuneration to the teaching staff.
The school, the first thing is that we don't have teaching materials. Also, teachers are not getting their salaries, so that's why we lost most of our teachers. So now we want to bring many students into the school, but we can't because of the lack of teachers.
Some students who spoke expressed delight and called for more government and individual assistance to enhance their learning.
Murjana to Aliyu. I am in JSS1. The opening chapter, Surah Al-Fatiha, the Falak, and also the Nas. Those 3 surahs, I have memorized them.
Problem of school fees, teachers. That is why some students are not coming here. And he defeated teachers again, and also their teachers are not getting salary. It's free that they are teaching them.
The transcribed version of the Quran, which is not very common globally, was recently innovated by some renowned scholars who succeeded in transcribing the whole 114 chapters of the Holy Quran in a special mode. From Zaria, I am Abubakar Sadiq Muhammad reporting for Trust TV News.
Residents of Kaduna community in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State have called on relevant government agencies to facilitate the provision of social amenities in the community. The call followed the challenge posed by a collapsed bridge which has cut off the community from accessing other communities in the metropolis. Trust TV's Bello Musa, who visited the community, reports that locals there say living in the village has become very challenging, especially with no facilities such as water, health center and electricity. Here's his report.
This is one of the challenges bedeviling Gadani community. The bridge, which is a community effort, is now posing a threat to pupils in the area. It is about 1.8 kilometers from the Kaduna-Zaria Expressway to the community, but lack of an accessible road is making life difficult for the community.
Last rainy season, we lost about 4 children, 4 school children. As they were going to school, they hold each other at the hand. When one person fall down, he just draw the remaining three people, and they fall, they die in the water.
Taking women to hospital when in labor is difficult due to the poor condition of the road. The condition is pathetic.
Despite having a population of about 1,000 people, only one nurse has been deployed to serve the cater to the health needs of the community.
We don't have enough workers. Most people go to hospitals in Rigachikun. I only volunteer to assist our people. We have only one nurse in the hospital.
The condition of some of the classrooms at Gadani Primary School has forced many students to look for a school outside the community.
It is an old building. There's nothing that government has done. Even only one class, class the government has done it. If not, they did not do anything. We, the community, the primary school, you see, we, the community workers, we did it.
There is no chair, no nothing, is not habitable for a reasonable person to take his child to that school.
I go to school outside the community. Sometimes I have to trek, sometimes I have to clean machine.
Although an electricity transformer has been present in the community for the past 17 years, the community has never had power supply.
There is no cable. Ever since they brought the transformer was here for more than 18 years. 18 good years. This transformer is being wasted. What is the challenge now? It's just some poles to complement it and the cabling.
Despite their diversity, they live peacefully with one another. Their only hope now is for authorities concerned to ensure the completion of this abandoned bridge. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Well, there you have it, the plight of residents of Gadani community in Kaduna State. Moving on, business owners in Gombe main market are expressing concern about the absence of public restrooms, highlighting the negative impact on the activities. With no accessible facilities, some individuals are forced to leave the market to find restrooms, disrupting the operations. This is coming amid the suggestion by the UNICEF that Nigeria needs to construct 3.9 million toilets annually to meet the target for the fight against open defecation by the year 2025. Hassan Kuli reports.
Muna fama da karancin bandakai. Dalili kuma shine saboda da akwai kamar na kyauta wanda ake yi, amma zaka samu babu ruwa a ciki. Da dai sauran irin wayannan matsalolin, misali shi lokacin kana matse, kana cikin tsakiyar aikinka zaka bar aikin ka tafi.
Lack of inconveniences, that is toilet in the government market, is a crucial problem to our business activities here in Gombe. So I want to call for government and Government Traders Association to interfere in this problem so that for the growth and development of our business activities in government market.
Alƙahira muna ɗinki wani lokaci idan damuwar ka na ba haya ko fitsarin ya kama ka sai ka rasa ma aina za ka je kai. Babu na gwamnati na kuɗin ma kafin ka je ka tsallake hanya ma akan iya samun damuwa. Ina kira ga shugabannin kasuwa ko gwamnati ko kuma masu hannu da shi wanda suna da yawa a samar da bandakai masu yawa kowa ya sa gudumawansa su taimaka.
Bangaren turai a kasuwar Gombe alhamdulillah akwai turai a kasuwar Gombe. Kuma yawanci mu da shi ne kawai turai da za a yi wani shi ne yau dole ne kai turai da da shi wankewa da su yanzu da kuma ba dole a ranka nan wani abu da mai zaka kara ya karya mu don kula da shi. Amma akwai na kungiya da muke da shi yanzu a amma mun ba da shi don fly wanda muka siya mun tashi mun je har wasa ni magana da su za su ba da tole za su mana bohol a kasuwa waje guda uku za su mana shi Allah da
Nigeria's power sector has struggled with a myriad of setbacks that have become a major stumbling block in the growth of the sector for decades. Now, amidst the power instability in terms of supply, there is also a glaring disparity, as some areas have more supply while others go hours and even days without supply. Trust TV's Chamun Dabeng in this report explores the disparity in the supply of power in the Federal Capital Territory. Here's a report.
Power is one of the basic amenities that every Nigerian citizen deserves. However, in Nigeria, only about 92 million Nigerians have access to power. This is according to the Energy Progress Report 2022 released by Tracking SDG 7. The Federal Capital Territory, despite being Nigeria's political capital, struggles to provide some of its residents with adequate power supply, although highbrow areas have relatively steady supply.
We have power. NEPA is regularly in Metama here. We don't have any issue with NEPA as now. Several times, NEPA you can take it, you can bring it as possible, like maybe 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 1 hour. But what everybody now look at, NEPA is a normal in Metama here now. We don't have any issue with NEPA.
For now, they are working perfectly, as in everything is going normal. We're having lights, constant power supply for now. But previous years, I think, we're not having light, but we complained a lot, so we started having lights recently. So
unfortunately, what we are seeing here is very, very bad. We are paying money, and every month, they keep increasing the tariff. But what we are paying for, we are not seeing it. It's not done. Actually, it affects me a lot, because right now I'm supposed to renew my sub-rent. I could not. Why? Because the light was not available for me to meet the targets I was planning for during that period that work is available. And many people will come and go. And because of the increment in fuel too, you are not able to buy fuel. I have gen. Look at my big gen inside. But to fuel it is not easy.
For this tailor, who resides in Mararaba, but has a shop located in Karo Village, both of which are lowbrow areas of the FCT, the poor electricity supply within his area has made it difficult for him to deliver on his tasks. Although he has a generator, the high cost of fuel has also been a challenge.
Electricity is partially stable. Let me just say it like that. So partially stable. I think sometimes they bring the light in maybe in an hour's time. So and it lasts for maybe sometimes a day. And sometimes they take it totally that you cannot be able to see it for like 3 days.
Since steady electricity is required for several businesses, its poor supply has pushed entrepreneurs to rely on generators. But with the high cost of fuel, a 28.92% inflation, coupled with an erratic power supply, businesses continue to struggle. Economist Emeka Okengu speaks on the impact to the Nigerian economy.
Even when the power is available, again, you need to consider cost. Is it cheap?
Okay, I mean, how many kilowatt hours can you buy for 10,000 now? How long is that going to last for you? It's almost a par with diesel. So power, when it's there, is expensive. Power, when it's not there, okay, is equally a problem. So the truth is that we have a power challenge in Nigeria. And if you're not, making power affordable, okay, then of course you'll be certain that, goods and services will be on the increase.
According to power consultant Bode Fadigbe, the disparity in power supply within the FCT is due to several factors, including town planning.
In our country today, what you find out is that decision makers, first of all, please themselves. And that's one. Two is the fact that it's not a high density area. The population there is low. So you find out that facilities are not overstretched and they are in constant use. Availability for them is almost 80-90%.
Some Nigerians who spoke to Trust TV on the condition of anonymity said they have found solutions to the epileptic supply by drawing power from areas with relatively stable power supply, like the airport or the villa.
Now, I don't want to look at the legality, principally because he would have also worked with the utility to draw supply to that area. Because no matter what you do, at best you can construct the lines, but to hook up to the grid, you need the officials of the utility. Do you get what I'm saying?
So far, the issue of cost when it comes to electricity has since garnered mixed reactions, with some stating that they would rather pay the high cost and have stable power supply. Many say the cost of electricity has become too difficult to afford. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching the news hour on Trust TV. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at the tale of Kano Trade Hub with no commercial bank. This and of course many more stories after the break. Stay with us.
Wherever you are in the world, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's there for the taking. It's in the back of the net.
AFCON 2023. Watch all 52 matches live on Star Times.
Thanks for staying with the news hour on Trust TV. Here's a recap of our major stories. Many feared dead as soldiers, gunmen clash hours after government relaxes 24 hours curfew in Mangu local government. And Gadani residents lament as bridge linking community collapses. Moving on to more stories now. The winner of the 2023 Kogi governorship poll, Usman Ododo, has been sworn in as the 5th executive governor of the state, months after he was elected to take over from Yahya Bello, who has completed his second term in office. Ododo took the oath of office at around 2:24 p.m. in Lokoja on Saturday. His inauguration came just minutes after Salifu Joel Oyibo took his oath of office as the deputy governor of Kogi State. The event had in attendance the Vice President Kashim Shettima, Ododo's predecessor Yahya Bello, National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC Abdullahi Ganduje, and other top members of the party. Appreciating the presence of one of his rivals during the election, Leke Abejide of the African Democratic Congress, in his speech, Governor Ododo said politics of bitterness is over. He pledged that under his leadership, Kogi State will become one of the sub-national pilots for key drivers of the federal government's programs in food security, poverty eradication, job creation, access to capital, inclusion of rule of law, the fight against corruption, and overall economic growth, which will have a local adaptation to the realities of Kogi State.
Fellow guys, on this auspicious day, I stand before you on the solid foundation of unity, which paved the way for the collective trust bestowed on me to lead our dear state at this time in our history. I am humbled by the weight of expectation as I accept your mandate to build on the enviable achievement of my predecessor who have traveled this road before now. I thank His Excellency Governor Yahya Bello, the father of modern Kogi State, for his unprecedented life-changing achievement in virtually all sectors of the economy, which have now formed the solid foundation for us to build on. Your Excellency, sir, words alone are not enough or sufficient to appreciate your pivotal role you play in the cause of the transition that has today formally taken off.
Well, there you have it, the newly sworn-in governor of Kogi State, Ahmed Usman Ododo. Moving on now, the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, has promised to probe allegations of corruption leveled against the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala. This is according to a statement by the Director, Information, Press and Public Relations of the Ministry, Hencho Ogubike. Matawalle, who said this while responding to the allegation against the naval chief, notes that the administration of President Bola Tinubu had a zero tolerance for corruption in the public service. He said although the allegations might be mischievous, the Ministry of Defense is, however, committed to upholding the highest standards of integrity and accountability within the Nigerian Armed Forces. The minister said it was necessary to stress the need for thorough and impartial investigation to ascertain the truth of the claims. A report by an online investigative platform revealed that a coalition of concerned Nigerians had submitted a petition to President Bola Tinubu raising serious allegations of crude oil theft, contract splitting, procurement fraud and corruption practices against the naval chief. And away from that, Gaya is one of the first-class emirates in Kano State that is reputed as one of the oldest domains even before the establishment of the metropolitan areas. But despite its vibrant trading activities and farming population, Gaya town has no single commercial bank at the moment. Salim Ibrahim visited the emirate to find out how traders are coping with commercial activities in the absence of banking services.
Gaya is one of the first-class emirates out of the 5 in Kano State and one of the oldest domains even before the establishment of the metropolitan city areas. The ancient farming community and trade route for centuries sits at the southern part of Kano. It has an area of 613 kilometers square and a population of over 200,000 in the 2006 census. Gaya is the oldest and most significant site in Kano's history and precedes the foundation of Kano itself. It is believed to be the origin of a man named Kano, who first settled in the present Kano State on his search for ironstone. The earliest known settlers of Kano were known as Abagayawa. Historians have posited that Gaya town had been a rich traditional and cultural hub for the Hausa people long before Kano was established as a city-state. However, for over 20 years now, the local government area cannot boast of a single commercial bank.
Honestly, it is quite disturbing, especially when we get paid. One has to cross over to a neighboring state or local government area to access bank services. We just hope we will have a bank soon because we have markets and businesses here. We enjoyed bank services when Savannah Bank was active, but it was later closed. This was since the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Since then, we have not had any bank. As an individual, I have a place that is good to cite a bank, and I am ready to give out, but no one is forthcoming. They are not even making moves. We don't find it amusing because it's a sad reality. Our local government is blessed with businessmen of all kinds. We are facing serious challenges due to lack of banks. As you know, we have Sabuwar Kaswar that holds every Friday. All these markets and others around in villages are doling out huge amounts of money. If there was a bank, things would have been a lot better.
However, this level of hardship faced by residents of the area due to the unavailability of banks, every nook and cranny of the emirate is bustling in business of all kinds, as there is hardly a single street that has no shops or business entity, either formal or informal, taking place. The town has many influential personalities in all walks of life who have served and are still serving in both public and private sectors. For the love of the town or better identification, many have added the name Gaya to their surnames or even adopted it as family name. Gaya has in the past produced a state governor and a 4-term senator, highly influential political appointees, and many others. The people of Gaya town are largely farmers, producing mostly farm products that are of grains, and during off-rainy season, they turn back to markets for trade. Trade booms in Gaya local government area, with the area playing host to a number of markets, which afford the residents of the area platforms to buy and sell a plethora of commodities. The residents, while remain hopeful and optimistic, believe that any bank that is willing to invest in Gaya town will enjoy huge and juicy opportunities, and there is much need for their services. Salim Umar Ibrahim, reporting for Trust TV.
Now, still on Cherry News, the Super Eagles has netted its first goal in its AFCON round of 16 match against the inimitable Lions of Cameroon. Ademola Lookman found the net following an assist from Super Eagles star striker Victor Osimhen. Nigeria had scored in the 10th minute, but the video assistant referee had cancelled Shemi Ajayi's opener. And moving on now, Governor Umar Namadi of Jigawa State has restated the commitment of the government to reposition education in the state by covering the school registration fees, providing laptops and a substantial sum of 100,000 naira for 31 indigent law students. The package, amounting to 476,000 naira per student, serves as an investment into education and aims to empower the future legal mind of the state. Here's the report. Governor Umar Namadi used the occasion to urge beneficiaries to be exemplary ambassadors of Jigawa State, emphasizing the significance of their role in contributing to the legal landscape.
Supporting these young men and women to pursue their educational career in the law school is a very big boost to our journey to a greater Jigawa. Because an educated society is a progressive society. We believe these young men and women, after finishing the law, they are law graduates. Now they are going into law school for their LLB. I am sure at the end of it, they will be greater citizens of Jigawa State.
The Commissioner for Justice echoed the governor's sentiments, highlighting the initiative as a crucial element of the government's comprehensive 12-point agenda. Fulfilling these promises underscores the state's dedication to empowering its youth and fostering a thriving intellectual environment, he said.
So, Your Excellency, I present you the students, and we do that with a symbolic presentation of the laptops, part of the packages we give for them, Your Excellency, in line with your promise of providing not only education, but a qualitative education and professional education to our youth. Your Excellency.
The grateful beneficiaries, expressing their appreciation, pledged to work diligently, recognizing the extraordinary gesture as a testament to the state government's commitment to education and citizens' development.
I want to express our gratitude to Almighty Allah for making this day a reality. Then to the Executive Governor of Jigawa State for showing his fatherly renown and concern in approving all the privileges and the benefit to the Nigerian law school students. Nigerian law school students are entitled to a duly disbursed and released.
This act not only invested in individual education but also sowed the seeds for a brighter and more promising future for Jigawa State. In a bid to reinforce the monthly statewide sanitation exercise, Governor Umar Nabadi alongside members of his cabinet on Saturday embarked on a roadshow in Dutse. The sanitation initiative, launched in September last year and aims to combat unsanitary practices and reduce related diseases across the state. Here's the report.
The roadshow featured Governor Namadi, Deputy Governor Aminu Usman Gumel, Speaker of the State Assembly Haruna Aliyu Dangating, Commissioner for Environment Dr. Noor Ibrahim, and Dutse Local Government Chairman Bala Usman Chamu, among other officials. The governor and other dignitaries swept the Sani Abacha Way at the heart of the capital city to demonstrate their commitment to fostering a clean environment.
Well, it is in our attempt to improve the situations. That's why the State Executive Council in their last meeting resolved that all members of the council will come out and go and supervise and also participate in this month's environmental sanitation. And our participation has really encouraged the people. And I'm sure that with what we have done today, we will see a serious improvement in the environmental sanitation that is happening every month.
The statewide sanitation committee formed last year was prompted by the alarming rise of indiscriminate dumping of refuse, open defecation, and silting of waterways. The initiative aims to instill environmentally friendly practices for the well-being of Jigawa State residents.
So we have not really reached maturity to the extent that we can look back and evaluate the progress or challenges or progress or whatever you can say. So, but we are hopeful. As you rightly observed, a lot of people are not very much aware of the program. Some, they need more education, more enlightenment on what is expected of them.
This particular exercise conducted this morning has really moved a lot of people to come forward, and I must believe we will not be waiting till end of the month. We'll be doing this exercise, inshallah, every week, so that people will be cleaning their places of businesses and of course their residents, so that at the end of the month the place will have little to do, especially in terms of environmental sanitation, inshallah.
To ensure compliance, 5 mobile courts were established across the 5 emirates in the state. These courts have the authority to apprehend, charge, and fine offenders.
And away from the north, hundreds of Imo residents have been arrested following their non-compliance with the environmental laws of the state. The arrest was effected by the police and other security agencies at the monthly environmental sanitation exercise of the state. Ajibade Awofeso, who was there, filed in this report.
The last Saturday of the month is usually dedicated to cleaning up the state to ensure it maintains a healthy outlook. Residents are expected to stay in their homes and carry out a thorough cleaning of their environment according to the law of the state. On this Saturday, many residents were caught in the web of the environmental laws as relevant agencies embark on a compliance enforcement across the state.
We decided to embark with the short notice that we decided to embark on a massive cleanup of the city today. That every last Saturday is something that will be ongoing every last Saturday. But today, if you can see, people are still moving around. Because the awareness was given in a short notice. So, but with time, I know that people will start complying when it sinks into their senses.
A visit to the mobile court, where defaulters were being tried, shows that vehicles, both private and commercial, were apprehended. Most of them whose case were called up were asked to pay a fine, while others who could not were asked to clean designated sites.
I think up to 20 has been tried, and we still have a lot of them sitting waiting for their own time to face the court. And the punishment is kind of a fine, which I can't really tell how much it is. Then if you can't pay the fine, maybe you might be subjected to kind of manual labor. You might ask to give you a shovel to clean the gutter or to cut the grass.
Some of the residents who spoke to newsmen, especially those who flouted the law, regretted their actions as they had to learn the hard way.
It's a good plan, so everyone has to do it. So for those of us that find ourselves here at this time, so we face whatever they were saying in them. So that's it.
So I've come from Obide side, with the God relief market, we stop in the warehouse.
To stop it for warehouse? Yes. Okay, so what in the contract say make you do for here now?
They say
make you do it to make you pay?
Yes.
They say make you pay? Yes. How much they say make you pay?
10,000.
The monthly cleanup exercise is the state government's initiative to keep the state clean and healthy for the betterment of all. The Imo State Waste Management Agency, ISWAMA, has assured that it will leave no stone unturned in ensuring that the goal is met. Ajibade Praise, Trust TV News, Owerri.
You're watching the news update on Trust TV. The business news comes right after this break.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. The World Bank has announced plans to restructure the $200 million Innovation, Development and Effectiveness in the Acquisition of Skills Ideas project in Nigeria due to challenges in meeting objectives. The project, aimed at enhancing the capacity of Nigeria's skills development system, has faced poor performance, leading to only $34.88 million being released so far. The restructuring, set to be completed by March 2024, includes adjustments to the project design, implementation, arrangements, and resource allocations. The Ideas project launched in February 2020 and has faced limited progress, with unsatisfactory ratings in key areas such as incomplete workshop renovations and delayed equipment procurement. A midterm review mission in October 2023 assessed the project's performance and identified the need for adjustments in the design, implementation, and resource allocations. The restructuring involves completing some activities, cancelling others, and introducing a results-based contracting fund to focus on scalable and cost-effective skills training for the Nigerian youth. And away from Nigeria, hundreds of protesters on Saturday marched in Nairobi to protest against femicide in Kenya, where over a dozen women have been killed this month in cases that shocked the nation. The campaigners took to the streets of the capital holding placards that read, "Being a woman should not be a death sentence. Patriarchy kills," while others featured names and photographs of the victims. "Stop killing us," they chanted as they marched towards Parliament, bringing traffic to a halt in Nairobi's central business district. At least 16 women have been killed in Kenya this year, according to media reports, shining a spotlight on violence against women, which the government has described as rising in one of the cases that gained nationwide attention. A 26-year-old woman was killed on January 4th at a short-term rental apartment by a suspect who police say is part of an extortionist gang which targets women through dating sites. Barely a fortnight later, a 20-year-old woman was strangled, dismembered, and her remains stuffed into a plastic bag. The gruesome killing triggered nationwide shock, including the chief government pathologist Johansson's order, who said he had never come across such an incident over a 2-decade forensic career. And in sports, Nigerian sprint hurdle star Tobi Amusan has begun the year by adding yet another record to her glittering collection. Amusan, who is currently the African Commonwealth and world record holder in women's outdoor 100-meter hurdle, started her 2024 season with a new indoor record on Saturday. The 26-year-old won the women's 60 meters final at the World Indoor Tour in Astana, Kazakhstan, in a time of 7.77 seconds. The time is not only a new personal best for Amusan, it is also the new African record in the event. Amusan had clocked 7.91 seconds to qualify for the final, where she took it to a notch higher with the gold winning 7.77 seconds run. The new African record replaces the old one on 7.82 seconds set by the legendary Glory Alozes 25 years ago in Madrid, Spain. And also, Aryna Sabalenka is the first player to win the women's singles title at the Australian Open for consecutive seasons since her compatriot Victoria Azarenka from 2012 to 2013. She is the 9th player in the Open era to secure consecutive women's singles titles at the Australian Open after Margaret Court, Yvonne Gulalong and Steffi Graf, Monica Seales, Martina Hingis, Jennifer Capriati, Serena Williams and Victoria Azarenka. Sabalenka is the second player over the last 3 seasons to secure a women's singles Grand Slam title without a single set dropped en route after Ashley Barty did the same at the 2022 Australian Open. Also, finally on sport, the Super Eagles has once again netted its first goal in its AFCON round-off 16 match against the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. Ademola Lookman found the net following an assist from Super Eagles star striker Victor Osimhen. Nigeria had scored in the 10th minute, but the video assistant referee had cancelled Shemi Ajayi's opener. And that wraps up the news hour on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across all of our platforms to catch up more news, programs and documentaries. I'm Sagir Ibrahim. Good night.